I think a common feeling that a lot of mums get is this feeling of like wanting to run away from home and run away from their family. And I can't believe that I'm actually admitting this on the internet because things look so good from the outside. But after we had our third baby, I actually said to my partner a few times, why don't I just leave? Why don't I just go and like rent my own place? I'll take the baby, you keep the toddlers, and like things will be so much better. And I just had this feeling of like, I just wanted to leave. Like I just wanted to completely, you know, almost like not back out, but I just wanted to quit. I felt like it would literally solve all of our issues. I honestly, genuinely felt that, even though underneath, I didn't think I actually meant it though, which is what I want to get into in this video. So in this video, I want to go through, you know, why I think a lot of mums get that feeling, and also 3 things that you can do when you do feel like you've got that feeling at the moment. Because I think, first of all, I think we get that feeling because we're effing exhausted, we're effing overwhelmed, and we're just so tired and like just hashtag not coping. I always say that to my partner. I'm always like, whenever I hear of someone struggling or something like that, I'm like, it's literally hashtag not coping, like just not coping with this. I think it's like this unique feeling that mums get of wanting to like quit or, you know, leave home, because there's literally no escape. What's happened is they've had this child or children and they've literally brought them into their home when things do get hard, because, you know, it is actually a lot harder than what it's portrayed as in society. You know, there's a lot of like beautiful newborn photos and I don't know, like sitcoms and movies and stuff where it's all a bit laughable. Like having a baby is very like, it's a bit challenging, but it's kind of funny and like it's kind of, you know, a bit bubbly and happy and whatever. And I feel like in reality, it's actually effing really, really hard, and it can be quite a big shock for mums. And that may not even happen the first time. Like for me, I really felt like that shock hit me more so when I had my second baby, and then again when I had our third, because I really kind of enjoyed becoming a mum the first time and I only had one to look after. And yeah, it had its challenges because I've had 3 babies now that they weren't good sleepers and stuff, but I kind of dealt with it okay the first time, like got through that, got some help and stuff like that. And I didn't get that feeling. It wasn't until I had my second baby and then my third when I had that feeling. You know, as I was saying, they've brought these children into their home. And so then now that means there's literally no escape. Like when it is hard, when it is overwhelming, when things are just too chaotic and they feel like caved in, it's just like there's literally no escape. Whereas if people get that feeling when they're at work or something like that, at least they have their home where they can retreat back to and they can like escape it for a little bit. They can like, you know, retreat and think about it. They may even be able to resign or quit. They can think about that. It's like an option for them. I mean, there are situations where people do feel stuck in their workplace and stuff like that, and that can lead to bad things as well. But I'm just saying, I think for mums, it's kind of like, you know, you've got the responsibility of these children, you've brought them into your home, and now there's literally no escape. Like they're your responsibility, they're yours to deal with. And as I was saying, I think there's a few reasons why I think mums get like this. I think that's the first reason. The other reason is that, you know, a lot of the time, mums are the ones who just have to deal. Like they're the ones who at the end of the day are the primary caregiver 99% of the time. They're the ones who, you know, are doing the childbearing, then they give birth, and then they're the ones that have to, you know, do all the feeding and everything like that. And, you know, from there, I feel like it establishes this thing. It's like mums had to sign this contract, which, you know, they didn't even really kind of know that when they have this baby, they're going to be the manager. Like they're going to be the boss, they're going to be the manager of the home, and everything's ultimately going to be up to them, even to like, you know, delegate tasks to their partner and, you know, start that communication and everything. And again, I'm not saying that's everyone's situation. Maybe some dads are really like have a knack for that. I don't know. But I just feel like in general, I'm just talking in general, and I'm kind of talking to a specific audience here of those mums that do feel that feeling of wanting to run away. Usually it's because of that. They're usually the leader and, you know, of their family, and they didn't kind of get that memo until they had their baby, and now they're in this thing, and it's just, you know, and I'm saying this because this is what I felt. This is how I felt as well, is like it took me a couple years to realize like, oh shit, it's actually up to me. And, you know, I'm the one that's going to have to, you know, do all the dealing with the stuff. And, you know, it's kind of like when, because I've never had good sleeping babies, it's kind of that feeling when the sun's going down. I especially remember that with my third, because she's only 10 months. So I very much remember it, you know, like it was only a couple months ago I felt like this. It would be in the afternoon when we're getting the toddlers ready for bed and the baby, and I'd be sleep deprived. And we're talking like months of sleep deprivation, like weeks and months. It was my new normal. And I just had that horrible, I can feel it now, that feeling when I just hadn't been sleeping. And then I knew that as the sun was going down, great, I'm actually not even going to get a sleep tonight. That's the craziest thing about this, is I feel like this and it's not going anywhere. That feeling's not going anywhere. And guess what? I'm the one who has to deal. Like, no one else has to deal with that. You know, the kids don't have to deal with it. My partner doesn't have to deal with it, you know, because we can't have two sleep deprived people in the home. And then like my baby doesn't have to deal with it because they're just sleeping on their own terms. And so for me, it was like, I just have to deal. Like, I'm the one that just has to deal. And I feel like sometimes when, you know, other things are happening as well, like, I don't know, toddlers with big emotions and starting daycare, just all these parenting things, a lot of the time does fall onto the mum to be the leader, to like look into it, find solutions, all that kind of thing. And so I think there's that feeling coming back again where it's like, I think it was when I said that, you know, to my partner a few times of like, why don't I just leave? Like, why don't I just go? I just want to leave. I just want to go and quit, pretty much. It was that feeling. It was like, because I'm the one that has to deal, you know. And I feel like sometimes mums say that and they threaten that and feel that because they're thinking like, you know what? Maybe you should just deal. Maybe you should try it. Maybe someone else should try it. Like, yeah, they're my child, but they're not just my child. I'm not bloody Mother Mary. I didn't just have this baby on my own. So maybe someone else can bloody deal for a hot second and like give me a chance, you know, to like catch up on myself a little bit and like just feel human again, you know. Even just the fact of like, you know, kids, I feel like as well, they're a bit harder on their mums sometimes. And I really felt that. And it was like, you know what? It was also this feeling of like, you know what, maybe the home would actually run better without me. I feel like that's another common feeling as well, is like, you know what, maybe I should just leave. Maybe everyone would be better off. Because when I'm around, there's big emotions, there's carrying on, you know, people not showing initiative just because like, oh, mum can do it. And so I think it's this feeling of like, you know what, maybe the house would weirdly enough run better when I'm not here. Maybe I should just leave. Maybe, you know, if people are so good with like daddy and like having this fun time or whatever, maybe I should just go. Like, maybe I should just leave and everyone actually in actual fact would be happier without me here. And so it's kind of that as well. It's this weird thing of like, you know what, like this is actually weird, but I think I'm actually the one that should go. Even though it's not actually what you want, it's just this feeling. I think the other thing too is like when mums say that or when mums feel like that, they genuinely, it's not something they genuinely want. I mean, maybe, and I'm not talking about people where, you know, your mum has actually run away from home and things like that. I mean, maybe, but maybe she didn't actually want to. But I just feel like most of the time, mums don't actually want to run away. Mums don't actually want to leave their family. This is what they wanted. They wanted children, you know, with this person or whatever. That's originally what they wanted. Or even if, you know, there's other things going on, like the relationship's not working, whatever. I still don't think they just want to like pack up and leave their children. That's what I genuinely believe. But I feel like it kind of gets to this point, it gets to a head. I know that I felt like that because I felt trapped. I felt like I was almost cornered in my own home. A bit like that feeling like I was saying like, great, I have to do bath time. I have to do bedtime. I have to get the baby, like wake up with the baby. There's literally no other option for me. There's no escape. And yeah, I wish I had money to pay for an overnight nurse, but I feel like most people don't have that option. Looking back now at mothers who have struggled over the years, I think, wow, like maybe they literally felt this and they felt like this is my life and they hated it. And, you know, anyway, I do also want to say that if you are genuinely experiencing symptoms of depression and anxiety that you think might be something more serious, I would definitely urge you to go and talk to someone professional, because I am not a professional person in that area. And I feel like it's such a big thing that we are now finally looking at in our society. So please go and just chat to someone, just do it. Even if you feel like you're crying a lot and just have that anxious feeling, please just go and talk to someone. But so yeah, I think that's why mums feel like that. You know, I think it's like, you know, this isn't fair. Yes, it's my responsibility, but it's so hard because I feel like a lot of people say, yeah, but you chose to have children. Well, okay, that's like saying to someone, oh, well, you chose to work at McDonald's. So like, you know, you should just get over working night shift, or, you know, you chose to be a nurse, so, you know, getting hit by that patient, that's your fault or whatever. It's kind of like, it's not really a valid point. Like, what do you mean? I feel like people go hiking and what you're going to say, like, oh, you know, you broke your arm, oh, that's on you, that's your fault. It's like, you wouldn't say that. I think it's the same with kids. It's like, you don't quite know what you're getting into. Like I said at the beginning, what I touched on is, like, in society, it's just portrayed as something that it's not. It's like seems so much easier than what it actually is. And also I think that when women have a bad experience with having children and a family, they probably don't want to talk about it too much because they don't want to ruin it, especially for a pregnant woman. You know, the last thing I'm going to say is like, oh, I actually wanted to run away from my home a few times this year, but yeah, good luck with the pregnancy. Like, I'm not going to go and do that, right? But at the same time, it's like, it's so hard because it's like, yeah, but if we don't talk about this stuff, then how are we ever going to fix it? Because that's my other point that I wanted to just touch on in this video before I get into like things you can do, is I feel like in society, it's so normalized that motherhood is so hard. You know, it's like, yeah, I've felt that feeling before, so that's normal. Or, you know, yeah, I've yelled at my kids, I've smacked my kids, I have gotten in the car and threatened to run away a few times. Like, yeah, that's totally normal, and we just all figured it out, and oh yeah, I'm over it now, and my kids are grown up, and blah blah blah. And I feel like it's so normalized, and I just think maybe that's one of the things that could be wrong with our modern society. You know, when you look around at people and wonder, like, God, what happened to them? What's wrong with them? These poor people that have mental health issues and stuff, you sort of think, what may have happened in their childhood? Because yeah, I feel like that's why I'm getting so passionate about this, is I feel like people's childhoods are so important. And who is usually the person behind someone's childhood? It's the mother. Yes, it's also the father, but unfortunately, it's just biology. It's just the way it is. A lot of it falls on the mother. And so, you know, I feel like we need to look after mums more. We need to stop just like normalizing this stuff of like, oh yeah, you just figure it out. I don't even know how I got up every day. Like, if you said that about a job, it would be like serious. If you said to your friend, yeah, I don't even know how I'm getting up and functioning every day to show up to my job, wouldn't your friend's jaw be on the floor? They'd be like, hang on, what? Like, that doesn't sound good. That doesn't sound good to me. Do you want to maybe consider like getting a different job or something? And so when we normalize this around motherhood, I just feel like, you know, we could be doing so much better. What happened to me a lot of the time is when I felt like this, there was actually a lot that I could have been doing to help myself out. And instead of like, I feel like in my brain, I don't know if this is going to make sense with my hands, like visually, but it was like I was here, right? And I was struggling and I was in this place. And then whenever I said, yeah, I want to run away from home, and someone said, oh yeah, I felt like that, or something like that, or I Googled it or whatever, it's like, oh yeah, I felt like that. It's like I came back to that place, you know, and I just kind of was lingering in this little zone here. I hope this makes sense, but I'm just kind of making it up as I go. But yeah, I was kind of like lingering around in this zone here and like, oh, okay, it's normal, and then feeling like that and normal, but there was actually so much stuff here that I could have been doing that could have gotten me to that point where I wasn't feeling like that anymore. And if only I'd just broken through this crazy crap right here that was like, oh, it's normal to feel like that. Like, it makes me so livid now. And it's like, no, actually, if you just break through that stuff and we can like implement some strategies and do some things, maybe you could get to this point where you don't feel like running away from home anymore. And I'm not saying that like that means that you should just be happy in your relationship and blah, blah, blah. In fact, it's the total opposite. Maybe you do need to reconsider your relationship or, you know, living situation or whatever, I don't know. But it's kind of like, what is it about your situation right now that's keeping you in that place where you feel like that? Where you feel like you want to run away from home, sorry. That is not a good place to be in. So how can we get ourselves out of that? Rant over. But I guess what I'm trying to say is like something needs to change, right? Something needs to change. And the more that we just keep normalizing it, the more it's never going to change. It's never going to bloody change. We're just going to be going around and around in circles. That's what I meant. Okay, I've got to get my notes out so that I don't bloody, anyway. So the number one thing that I would say, Oh, I mean, I could literally list like 10 to 20 tips around this stuff, but which brings me to my next thing actually. If you do want a bit of like help around this stuff, I do have a free 7-day course called Feel Good in Motherhood 7-day free course. The link is in the description below. So you just have to put in your email, and every day I'll be popping into your inbox for 7 days, and I give you like a little task to do and just some stuff to think about every day. And I'm really hoping that by providing you with some tools, you can get to a bit of a better place. And then as you keep implementing it in your own life, I genuinely feel like you won't get that feeling again. And if you do, then you can just hit me up in an email and we can talk about it. But yeah, so anyway, link in the description, so make sure you get onto that. The first thing I suppose is there needs to be structure, and there needs to be routine. There needs to be, like, usually when I was feeling like that, it's like kids were screaming, something had gone wrong that day that I wasn't happy with, like maybe they ate too many sugary snacks or something, you know, I hadn't slept very well, and it was just all getting on top of me. And like, it just felt like I was completely snowed under is the feeling. That's why I wanted to run away, because I didn't even enjoy being in my own home around my own family, where they were being quite demanding and stuff like that of me. And I just felt like I'm only one person, I can't give more than I already am. I feel like mums do need to run a tighter ship. And I feel like these days with gentle parenting, we're very lax. We're very like give in to the child. I think that comes at a price kind of thing, which is the mum's mental health, which is not good. You know, I have done a few parenting courses and things like that, and the books that I've read and everything. Like, you do have to be firm. You've got to be firm, and you've got to know what you want, because at the end of the day, you need well, this is my other point, but you've got to back yourself, because this is your home too. This is your home too, and you need to cope in your own home. We can't have a situation where mum isn't coping. Like, that is just, I understand that mums want to give a lot to their kids, and I understand that there's not much time for self-care, and yeah, we can't just go back to the way we were before having kids. I get that, but I do also think on the other end of the spectrum, we can also enjoy our own home. It's even just things like, for instance, now whenever the girls want to play with our car keys, it's just like a firm no from me. I'm like, nah. Take them away, put them on top of the fridge or whatever. I'm like, no. I used to feel a bit bad about that. I'm like, oh, she's just a baby. Like, just let her play with the keys. Like, no, because they are my car keys. And if I lose them, that's going to ruin my morning, the next morning or whatever. And it actually did happen once where we lost my partner's keys for 2 or 3 weeks, and the car was in a really annoying spot out the front. And it was just annoying. We had one vehicle, we're both trying to get to work, stuff like that. And so now I'm like, no, it's just a firm no. And same with things like, you know, sugary snacks or screen time, or I don't know, just things like that. It's like, just no. You've got to start saying no. Just give them a firm no. This is where communication comes in as well, which is probably what I'd say is like my second point. You got to work on your communication, because, and I'm not just talking about with your partner, I'm also talking about with your kids too. It's like, you know, you do need to voice how you're going, because I think we're so good at hustling and so good at just being in survival mode for our children, because, you know, mum guilt. But I do think we also need to convey our own needs. And again, I think it's that thing that's normalized of like, oh yeah, but it is hard. And yeah, like, you do put yourself on the line for a while and there is no time for self-care. It's kind of like, let's not take that for an answer. Like, no, that's just not good enough for mums. When you communicate and have this way of communicating with your partner and your family, you can actually look after yourself to a point where you don't feel like that anymore. You don't feel like you want to run away from home, because you are being looked after. And it's so hard, because I understand it even is triggering for myself. It's like, oh, but who am I I'm the one that brought my kids into the world. Why should I matter? You know what I mean? But we do have to try to get ourselves to this point mentally where we think, no, I do matter. Because otherwise, if no one's looking after mum, then mum wants to run away from home. You know, even just things like, I had to communicate with my partner about his, you know, his job, and I had to flag with him, it's just not working, because he was working nights. And I said to him, okay, he had a job application for a new job, and it was just like a normal 9-to-5 job. And I said to him, if you don't get this job, you're gonna have to go and apply for a different job, because I'm at a point where I'm just not coping. Like, I'm just #not coping. I can't have you doing nights anymore. It's just like not, I just can't. I can't do it. I can't have a little baby and our 2 toddlers. Like, it's getting too much for me. I had to voice that, have space for that, have space for my needs. Thank God he did get that job in the end. And it's literally been a game changer. And I don't think I've felt like that since he hasn't worked nights. But, oh, maybe I have actually, but only a couple of times. But yeah, I think that's like one of the key things is communication. Having that firm boundary of like, mummy needs to have a sleep at 5 o'clock in the morning after baby, or like 4 o'clock after baby hasn't been sleeping much at night till 6 or 7, because mummy needs to cope. Mummy needs to be okay. Kids aren't allowed in the room. Like, no one's allowed in the room. That's got to just be a firm rule. That's another thing that I've learned. Rules are okay, because rules are just boundaries. And I think with gentle parenting, like I was saying before, we feel bad and we're like, oh, but I don't want to be that strict mum. I don't want to be that, you know, that mum that's just got all these like rules and stuff. Well, unfortunately, that's just what it is, having a family. I think it's just, you're either like the too gentle parenting, or you're on the opposite end, which is like overly strict. Like, I said no and you're not having this ever again and whatever. Let's just meet somewhere in the middle where you've got some rules. It's like no sugary snacks after 12 p.m. or something like that, so that bedtime isn't crazy. And, you know, mummy's gonna lock her door in the morning, and like, you've got to communicate that. Daddy's gonna be with you in the morning, not mummy, because mummy needs to get sleep. And I had to say to my little girls a lot, mummy's not sleeping a lot. Mummy's really tired. Mummy's been up with the baby a lot. It's not gonna be like this forever, but right now it's quite difficult, you know, and you just got to like communicate that. Communication, being more firm, having more structure, routine, that kind of thing. Also, I think the other thing that I touched on before is backing yourself. This has happened a lot for me as a mum, is I've second guessed myself. I've gone, oh, maybe I'm being too strict, or maybe I'm not cool enough. Maybe I'm not the happy mum enough. Maybe I need to do this, that. And I remember there were moments where I was pregnant and I had my toddlers and I was like, oh, maybe I am being a bit too like strict. Maybe I should let them paint and do some painting with them at home. And I remember the feeling of just being so overwhelmed when my 2-year-old, or maybe she was 1 then, like was just getting the paintbrush. There was paint going everywhere. It was too much for me. And it's like, you know what? I've actually got to back myself. Like, no, I initially thought the painting would be too much for me, so I'm going to back myself. Like, nah, no painting. Like, that's just it. I'm backing myself. And even as another example, I used to have this cube storage thing, and like my partner was saying to me like, you know, oh, I don't know if we should have so much flat pack furniture. Or he'd kind of always say to me like, oh, another flat pack thing. And it was like, you know what? And it's nothing bad against him, because look, I do get that flat pack, every time you move and stuff, it like ruins. But I did have to back myself there, because I thought, no, I'm getting too overwhelmed with like, when we get home, there's nowhere to put our bags. There's nowhere to store all of our shoes and the girls' daycare, drawings and stuff. I need that cube storage to put all of that there. Everything in our home needs somewhere to go. Like, what's her name? I can't remember what her name is, but she was like, everything in your home needs to have a home. And I really thought about that in the past couple of years. And I'm like, no, you know what? He might think that the flat pack furniture is not very good, but I'm going to back myself here, because I can't be overwhelmed anymore. Like, maybe he doesn't care about the mess. I don't know. For me, I need to have a certain place where things go. Otherwise, I get way too overwhelmed and it's just way too much for me. And even just things like now, there are times where, just trying to think of some examples, say like we have the TV on or something and everyone wants to watch a movie, or they want, you know, to watch their show, Marsha and the Bear or whatever. And it's like too much for my ears. Like, I'm just getting overstimulated. Instead of feeling this guilt of like, oh, okay, I'll let them watch it, you know, and Tom wants to like let them watch it. Not that he does this, but, you know, say that's the situation, is like, oh, like everyone else wants to watch TV, so I've just got to get over it. It's like, no, I'm going to back myself. This is my home too. And if it's causing me too much stress and too much noise in my ears while I'm prepping dinner or whatever, or trying to clean, like, that's it. I'm backing myself. The TV is going off. And that's, again, back to that firm thing. But I just feel like it sort of goes beyond just like rules and boundaries, where it's like this feeling of like, you've got to back yourself. You've got to know what you need. You know, like if you need him to get up in the morning so that you can get a couple of hours sleep or something, don't let anyone say like, oh, that's a bit hard on him because he's got to go to work or whatever. Like, no. You're backing yourself. Like, no, I'm backing myself because I need to cope. At the end of the day, that's for nobody else to put their opinion on. That's for you, because this is your home, your family. You're the leader at the end of the day. And everybody knows that when mum's happier, like everything just runs smoother, everything is just better. And we don't want mum to be feeling like she wants to run away from home. This is the whole thing, is like, this is where those boundaries, instructions and everything like that come in. Even a bit of like mindset stuff, which is a whole other thing I could go into, but just this feeling of like, you know, no one's looking after me, like no one's cares about me. I kind of felt like that a lot when I had that feeling of like, but no one cares, like no one sees me, no one gives a flying F about what I'm going through and my sleep deprivation. And you kind of have to like pick yourself up on that and go, hang on, is that true? Maybe people are, like maybe my partner is doing the best that he knows how. Maybe I'm the one that needs to communicate. I guess now I've given you like 4 things, because the 4th thing is like mindset stuff too. Got to also tell yourself like, no, I think people are just doing the best they can. Like at the end of the day, my toddler is only 2. She doesn't know, you know, what I mean when I say that I'm up all night. And yeah, that's really hard to like tell yourself that all the time. But you do just have to like remind yourself like, okay, I have to be, I guess it's like, I have to be firm and I have to back myself, because they don't understand. And that's not my fault. That's not their fault, and it's not my fault. They just don't get it. That's just a fact. They don't get it. And so because of that, I need to be firm. And maybe one day in 30 years, they can come back to me when they've got 3 kids and they will understand. But until then, I have to back myself, and I have to remember like, okay, they're doing the best that they can. And so they need to, you know, just trust. I need to trust myself. They need to trust that when mummy says something, that it's for a good reason. It's not because I'm being unreasonable. It's for a good reason. But I really hope that that did help someone out there that might be feeling a bit like this. As I said, I don't want you to feel like you're on your own in this. And I want you to know that there is help out there, and that, you know, this is why I want to start talking about this stuff, because I don't want it to just be normalized that, oh, every mum feels like this. You know, yeah, mums put their head in the oven. Because, you know, anyway, Tom had never heard of that before when I told him about it. But anyway, yeah, I just feel like no wonder mum's coped, because it's just such a toxic cycle that we can get into. So anyway, if you want further information, further help, stuff like that, or to just keep like talking about this stuff to give you that support, please put your email in my link below, and then I can pop into your inbox. And yeah, this is the stuff that I love to talk about and bring to light a little bit, because mums should not have to feel like they want to run away from home. So yeah, anyway, we all deserve a happy mum. Everyone deserves a happy mum, including yourself. So yeah, anyway, I'll talk to you in the next video. Okay, bye.